قال الله wadla Yahweh Ba'ashem Noshai Ba'ashem Kwakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, our teachers, apostles in this truth. You know what I mean? Salutations to the brothers on the four corners of this earth, pushing this word in truth, also in sincerity. It's like, yeah. This body do not disturb. Alright. Salutations to the brothers pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. In the four corners of the globe, risking their lives more now so than ever to do so. You know what I mean? Hey. None shall escape, right? None shall escape. If you're taught for some reason because you live in a third world country, corrupt governments, people being shafted, they can't get no worse. There's just confirmation that the government of Trinidad and Tobago is in league with the harlot, right? When it comes to the agenda, so on and so forth. So if you didn't believe, if you're living in a fucking cave, right? Yeah, you know, this is what it is. My goodness, we have what going on in the Middle East. You know what I mean? But the pushing the agenda hard. You could tell me the days are not being shortened. You know what I mean? Prophecies happening simultaneously. Is either one after the next in a rapid succession or 2-3 at the same time. You know what I mean? Their fighting was on pursuing their agenda. And niggas out here saying they can't do a video a day or they can't do the minimum of 3 videos a week. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Look at what the devil doing. The devil making sure he get his shit done. Alright? But all you want a piece of the kingdom to come for nothing. You know what I mean? I saw a quote that say, this was a while back. Just to paraphrase it, right? To everything worth having requires sacrifice, or everything requires sacrifice, even heaven demands that. You know what I mean? Now we the man of the truth, man of the Lord know, you know what I mean? It's not exactly so. Yes, some brothers will cross over to the spiritual realm, right? Some brothers will transcend, you know what I mean? So on and so forth. But what the quote initially says is you had to sacrifice something. You know what I mean? Yo, should I say, well, pick up your cross and follow him. How you sacrifice you had to make. Alright? Because this is definitely wandering after the beast. The beast have this fucking country in all the harlot. You know what I mean? We want to be like them. When I say we, I mean the country, not necessarily me, but I mean the country going along the route of becoming, I just don't call it Little America. So fuck, let me be real. They say we is the New York, Trinidad, because in New York are the Caribbean. You know what I mean? We had the nicknames and we live up to it clearly. Right? So hey, here we go down in the article. It says government sees AI data centers plan for DB water supply protected. Plan for DB water supply protected, because we know them AIs and does use tons of water. You know what I mean? Real water, and it already are parts in the country that are complaining they only getting water for 2 days a week. So why would you bring down something consuming so much water, but yet still citizens can't get running water every day? But hey, bye. And the wicked rule, people mourn. Yeah. See if I could zoom in. Turn up my brightness a little bit. Lovely. It's a Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarat says proposed artificial intelligence data centers will be developed in a special economic zone in Davie with short, medium, and long-term plans in place to meet their water needs. Padrat is seeking to allay concerns over the potential environmental and infrastructure impact of the project, saying government has been planning the developments across several ministries and that water supply, residential and commercial customers will not be affected. That is bullshit. That is so much bullshit. Real dog. I used to live in that area, right? When rain fall, they used to lock off the water. When rain fall, they used to lock off the water. You know what I mean? And when rain fall, like we say if rain no fall for the week, it's every other day or every 2 days you get water. And I talking about a couple years ago, and like even when I go back to visit my grandmother or whatever, it is the same thing. Sometimes they have water, sometimes they have no water. Like be real. So it's up to today, we still having that problem. And I've been living there since the age, I don't want to lie, if I can remember, you say 14, 15, somebody. You know what I mean? But yet, all they want to put on fucking, bro, these people showing all that they don't give a finger in the middle about us. You know what I mean? They don't care about the population, they don't care about the citizens, yo. It says, the location of the data centers are meant to be in a special economic zone. We are looking particularly at DB for these data centers in that economic zone. Paderat said. He said the short-term plan involves Salakia creating ponds within the DB special economic zone to support the initial water requirements of the facilities. We'll have a hybrid system in terms of utilizing ponds in the first instance that are created, the man-made ponds, and then if additional water supply is needed, by then the desalination plants would come on stream, he said. All you should have been doing this for citizens years of fucking go, bro. All you want to do it for fucking machines. All you could tell me about this fucking place. Paderat said longer term measures include proposed desalination plants in Moruga, Tableland, and Mayaro, which he said would reduce reliance on the Navet Dam and free up water supply for communities in South Trinidad. These data centers, the need for supply for data centers with respect to water will not impact in any way servicing the commercial and residential customers of WASA, he said. His comments after the government announced the signing of three memoranda of understanding with United States organizations includes two aimed at developing data centers and artificial intelligence infrastructure in Trinidad and Tobago, and a third focused on restarting steel production at Point Lisas with an emphasis on strategic metals. Bro, I just read strategic metals, all I thinking is fucking weapons. I could be wrong, you know. I could be wrong, but as I said, this article proves, right, we in bed with them. Like, wow. It says, speaking later that evening in the United States' 250th Independence Anniversary reception at the Hyatt Regency in Port of Spain, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad said this agreement reflected the government's commitment to strengthening economic ties with Washington. We keep our anniversary for their independence, and if I keep our fucking dog. This some bullshit. She told the gathering she and U.S. I didn't even know how to read that. Philip Kuhn, before attending the reception, he signed 3 agreements with 3 U.S. companies, 2 for data centers and 1 to help rejuvenate and rebuild our steel industry. So can I thank your companies as well, Charge, for investing in Trinidad and Tobago, she said, adding that Trinidad and Tobago looked forward to depending on collaboration. You see that word depending, eh? Looked forward to depending collaboration deepening. Oh my goodness, Salakia. Slovakia. I look forward to deepening collaboration with the United States. Yeah, hand in hand, by hand in hand, in league with the beast, in league with the fucking devils. Yeah, it says this the agreement signed by foreign and Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Sean Subas established frameworks for collaboration but remain subject to due diligence and further negotiations. Under one MOU, Ernst and Young LLP intends to partner with third parties to develop a 300 megawatt data center, while a second agreement with Hummingbird AI Holdings LLC proposes a 150 megawatt AI infrastructure and data center with the potential of expanding to 500 megawatts. Initial commercial operations are targeted for the first quarter of 2028, subject to the project advancing. The third MOU with Pinnacle Steel and Vanadium Corporation provides a framework for discussions on refurbishing and recommissioning the former iron and steel plant at Point Lisas. According to the government, the project would allow Trinidad and Tobago to enter the vanadium market, a strategic metal used in aerospace and defense applications. Yeah, can I tell you that? The planned data centers having triggered debate online, with some questioning the electricity and water demands of large-scale artificial intelligence infrastructure and calling for environmental assessments before constructing begins. Similar projects internationally have also faced scrutiny over the impact on power grids, carbon emissions, water usage, and local infrastructure. Questions were also raised about claims circulating online that the government planned to use the Blue Waters facility in Tacarigua as a site for an AI data center and that the project could affect drinking water supplies. No official announcement has identified Blue Waters as a proposed location. Okay, all that bullshit at the end aside. You know what I mean? I do it by there you go straight it. One night after the beast body. I go to Revelation 16. I believe it's 18. No, not yet. No. I'll come to this after. Wondered after the beast. I don't know why I always say wondered. 13, okay. Revelations 13 and 3. And I saw one of his eyes that were wounded to death by his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Yeah, they worship the beast by doing what? Following his footsteps. Then we worship Yahweh Shai, and we show we worship him, not by trying to emulate him. So what are they doing? Emulating the beast. You know what I mean? And there's just verification, confirmation that we in league with them. We in bed with them. Hand in hand. We doomed. I'll name this video Verified. That'll be the name of this video, Verified. You know what I mean? Without a shadow of a doubt, boy. Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I knew it to know, but when you get, always do it. Evidence as hard as this. You know what I mean? Because I mean, with the whole US ships being down here and thing, the whole Venezuelan thing, it was looking so, you know what I mean? Navy Seal, not, it's a SEALs here, I believe SEALs down here, or Marines, you know what I mean? Working hand in hand with the police force, you know, cool. You see this one? Yeah, but it, it in bold, you know, it embedded, it ingrained, you know, for sure. No joke. No joke. You know what I mean? So we gonna receive that judgment with them. You know what I mean? Cause we in league with what? With them. You know? And we know that them spiraling out of control. Isaiah 30 and 1. I was out from 2. It says that walk to go down to Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. You know what I mean? It be the fucking confusion. They want to know why the fucking economy dead. So because we following them. Fuck you mean? What going on over there? High oil prices and then super inflation. So if you can go on down here, think before, look before you leap. Isaiah 31, start at 2. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not power, and the horse is flesh and not spirit. When Yahweh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is holpen shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. You know what I mean? They all shall fail together, right? All. Be destined to doomed. To be doomed. So like, you know what I mean? And they just consecrating it. Consecrated. That's all they did. They consecrate. We damnation, the damnation of the country. You know what I mean? If there was ever a doubt, it's been wiped out. I'm going to jump to the Revelation 18 here now. Where I was, I think I wanted to start at verse 3. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich throughout the abundance of her delicacies. Yeah? Abundance of her delicacies. You know what I mean? Basically, she how to put the industry she into. You see what I say? Metal for what? For basically for space technology and defense. I tell you when I read the when it says strategic metals, the first thing come to mind was weapons. You know, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Remember you know what I mean? Them things were sent for amendment, which is correction. Come out of her. And the government are we going deeper with her. You know what I mean? Verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and power had remembered her iniquities. Reward her seven, Salakia, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works in the cup which she had filled to her double. How much she had glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. You know what I mean? And we go and partake and look at what they say. You know what I mean? Give them double the judgment. But you feel we go get spared by? Really? If you think we go and get spared, better you take off your brain. Your brain dead. Verse 8. Therefore shall the plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. You know what I mean? And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Right? Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. You know what I mean? Rapido, Lord will make quick work at it, quick work at the infrastructure, by God say when they sit to fill the bellies. You know what I mean? That's roughly paraphrasing it. You know? You see, you take them in the craftiness, you take the craft in the craftiness. And we go in headlong with fucking them, by headlong. Headlong, and people just walking up and down the road going about the life like nothing going on, by. They don't understand the severity of being so, you know what I mean, into the thick of it with America right now. Damn. Damn. You know what I mean? It does really lift your spirits when you're seeing, you know what I mean, things you're talking about coming to fruition or being verified in 4K, as they say. You know what I mean? Look at that. Look at that. Hey, to what I have bashing my shy bashing my crocodile by my what lava bell. Hope it was edifying. Hope it sparked food for thought among the Akemi watching or listening to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Kwakadash. Until next time, hey, shalom.